Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Schlage Primus end user.
Okay.
And I'm looking at getting quotes on cylinders.
Okay. Who owns your keyway?
My keyway is a D234.
Who owns it?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, then I would be able to order them on your behalf.
Okay. I just have to fill out a space sheet and mail it to you.
Yeah, or they want you to do it electronically nowadays, but I prefer the mailed version. But whichever.
Yeah, I can't do it electronically because they don't recognize certain email domains.
Oh, there
you have to have a large organization with your own servers and your own this and that and your own IT department and all that. And I'm just a one-man wrecking crew, so so I happen to have my own key system.
Yeah, level 9 is okay, sure.
So I'm just calling around various places to get estimates on. That's one of the benefits of being a level 9 end user is you can get competitive bidding estimates on stuff like that. So.
Well, we're going to buy it through wholesale, so I'm not going to be the most competitive. You're going to want to find someone that buys direct from Schlage.
Okay. I kind of figured that you might deal directly with Schlage, since these locks are generally assembled at the factory.
What are
given the side bit milling and stuff, and the other details regarding the side bit code and all that.
Oh, there's nothing to that. That's all easy.
Yeah, I mean, if you have the penning kit and you can do it in the field and you know what the side bit code is,
Yeah, that's all. You could, if you have the. I mean, you got a small system, so it probably wouldn't pay for you to buy the pin kit, but.
No, because I usually get those. Yeah, I usually get them 0-bitted, and the sidebar combination's already combinated at the factory.
Yeah, that's true. That's your keyway.
Yep. No, it's not the keyway. It's the sidebar, the side bitting.
Yeah, well,
the Primus system.
Yeah, the keyway. I'm not speaking about the broaching in the cylinder plug. I'm speaking about holistically. Your keyway is the broaching. Your keyway is the finger pins in the side, which obviously relate to a particular side bar as well. But it's really
side bitting. Yeah.
Yeah, the side bar is not unusual. It's the finger pins that are in there for the
right.
elements.
Yeah, I mean, the only it's not an ASA system. An ASA, the side bar is the actual bitting, but yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is the guy who patented the ASA is the same guy who did
the same guy. Yep, Bo Weiden from Sweden. Yeah, it's licensed. It's a licensed technology that's licensed to Schlage, as well as ASA Abloy. But I'm familiar with that. In fact, all the patents are all on Google. You can look that up pretty easily.
Yep.
Let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I forgot how many cylinders I actually have, but I don't need additional key blinks. I got key blinks coming out of my eyeballs. So every cylinder that I've ordered in the past included 2 key blinks, and I just add to my inventory. I got like over 300 of them, so I don't need any more key blinks. I got my own blue punch, so I'm able to cut them. But I also have a standard pinning kit with so I'm able to pin or combine my own cylinders. It's just the sidebar code for the finger pins that's the only system or the only pinning kit that I do not have.
You can buy the finger pins, and Schlage publishes how to decode the side bit milling.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I have some of the PDFs of the service manuals, on my hard drive. you know, granted I got an XP system, which is just a number 7 finger pin with a very shallow, I think it's a shallow left, if I'm not mistaken, an extra shallow left. So that's the only, they did that to extend the patent life another 20 years when the patent ran out.
Yeah, they make one small backwards compatible change and they're good.
Yep, that's what they did with Everest 29 versus the Legacy Everest. So if you have a Everest 29 key, it'll fit in a Legacy Everest lock, but a Legacy Everest key will not fit in Everest 29 cylinder, which is kind of cool. So, but yeah, I mean, I got a bunch of locks. I got D series knobs. I got padlocks from a couple different makes that are fitted with those cylinders, and a couple of different sizes. So that allows me one key convenience for everything.
It's nice to have your own keyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's why I have it set up that way, because it gives me different levels of exclusivity. I got the keyway, which is restricted, and then I got the side bit milling, which makes it unique. Because there could be another end user in my area with the same keyway, but not necessarily the same side bit milling. So, granted that they even have a Primus setup. It could be a standard restricted setup, which doesn't use a sidebar, it just has a little finger pin in the back. But yeah, I'm pretty familiar with that. So I'm just trying to get some information on bidding and stuff for cylinders. But I guess since you said that you guys deal with a third-party wholesaler.
Well, what I said was I wouldn't be most competitive on it because I don't buy direct. I'm a multi-lock distributor.
Okay.
A lot further patent protection, a lot further out, and a feature of multi-lock will utterly defeat 3D printing. Schlage's doesn't.
Yeah, it's got an interactive element in the key.
Yeah, I'd call it that's what they call it. It's I'd call it a
like
movable
a floating
element. Yeah,
it's like a floating disc or a floating ball bearing or something. I mean, there's a number of different lock manufacturers they're using similar technologies.
Oh, they copied it. The first time I saw a movable element, I think, was in somebody's patent from 1970. It's just rehashing, just in a new. It's ingenious, but they've not reinvented the wheel.
No, you're just putting a little spin on it, and I think there was an Austrian manufacturer, Eva, that came up with
Oh, I've got one. Yeah, I've got.
Yeah, Eva, and then you also have Dome, which uses a dimple key as well, and those are very popular in Europe. You find those mostly featured in profile cylinders and mortise, screw and mortise cylinders, but you don't find them in key and knob cylinders because the Bible is concerned. You'd only be able to put one row of dimple pins in, and the key would look kind of weird. And the Dome keys have 2 rows of pins staggered side by side. I've seen that lock when I saw that lock about 30 years ago. I just happened to stumble over an old padlock that a locksmith had in his surplus pile. Like, what's this? Oh, we're just selling it here. You can have it for $5. Had one working key.
Yeah,
it had like 10 keys in it.
As long as you need one key, you're good.
Yeah, but you're not going to be able to make any duplicates. That's the thing, So as long as you don't lose one key, and you're not going to be able to, you hope you don't lose that key. Of course, it was kind of an oddball padlock. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I stumbled across your videos on YouTube. I found them to be kind of both educational and informative at the same time.
Thank you.
So particularly that one about a customer who had a D-series knob on a vintage house that he called in about trying to get some information on, and he pretty much quoted it as being a flagship product in their line of cylindrical locks, which is pretty accurate. Unfortunately, they discontinued it about 3 years ago. You know.
Yeah, I bought all I could get my hands on. I've got cases of D53 Orbit 630, 630 finish.
Hmm. Yeah, I found a resource on eBay who sells them secondhanded, the Plymouth style knob in the 53 function.
Yeah,
In
if you're good with a used lock, you can pick those up occasionally really cheap. I've bought, D53 Plymouths, just like you're saying, for maybe $25 at the most. The latch bolt alone is worth more than that.
Yep. Yeah, I got a couple of cases. I think I probably got like 42 of them in the back room.
Nice.
That picked them up on eBay for $10 a piece, and then I got a bunch of latches.
Those locks will last until the end of time, and you've got. 40.
I got them all over. I got them all over my house. I got them on my storm door. I got a mesh tech screen door with a
nice
D53 knob and a 600 series deadbolt. That's pretty much my lineup for door hardware is D series knobs and 600 series deadbolts outfitted with Primus.
I would skip the 600. I would see if you can find some old 400s on eBay, or go to a Kaba Ilko 4500 series and then use mortise cylinders with your Primus system.
Yep.
And
in which case then I'd probably just go. Yeah.
But it's not elegant. It's too large. My goodness.
Yeah, I got them already. I got them all over I got one on my garage door. I got them on my storm door as well as my entry doors. I've been really using those for years.
Yeah, years, decades.
Yeah, actually, some of them are like 20 years old. In fact, the ones I have that are polished brass are like over 20 years old. I pulled them off in the last place I lived in because I lived in an apartment. The landlord agreed for me to put them on, and when I left, I took them off and put the old hardware back on. Because I have restricted keying, so it's not like he's going to be able to make keys for those locks anyway. So.
As long as you get the key back, you're in good shape. I just had a customer in St. Thomas with like 60 medical M3s, and the guy lost a master. And, they're in a bad spot because they live where they live. There's one guy.
I got even more of a horror story for you. There was a fire department, I think, in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. I'm calling from Illinois, by the way.
I grew up in Narragansett.
Yeah, I think it was Hoffman Estates or one of those suburbs. They had Knox boxes, and one of the Knox keys got lost. And all those medical locks had to be changed. And all those Knox boxes, you're talking thousands of them. I was over at a lock shop, and I overheard the story. I was like, holy crap, that's huge. You're talking about a rekey bill that's going to be in the six figures.
Oh, absolutely. And it has to be done.
All because of a disgruntled employee probably just swiped the key out of one of the fire trucks.
That's it.
That's
a little bit of knowledge is dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody understood the Dayton method, it would. Security is an illusion.
Yeah, that's part of it. I mean, depending on how thinly veneered that illusion is, whether you're dealing with a Sensi safe, which happens to be owned by Master Lock, and Master Lock is full of illusions, especially their consumer-grade product with the 4-pin cylinders with no security pins, which can be raked open in seconds. That's trivial, But when you're talking about systems that have restricted keying and factory-controlled, distribution and stuff, those systems are a little bit harder to break. It's just a matter of keeping key accountability. And fortunately for this particular system I've had for over 10 years, and I've never lost a single key. Of course, I'm the only one who really handles the key.
Well, your concern's not losing a key, because you can recombinate. Your concern is those 300 key blanks. They've got to be in the safe deposit box, because if you lose those, then
they're in a secure location. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, yeah, you do
Yeah.
that, then you can rekey. You're in good shape. You've got no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. You know, that, and I also outfitted these locks with spool pins as well, so they're even more secure.
Makes it a lot harder. Well, I can't imagine anyone actually picking a Primus, even though I've seen it online. But spool pins make it a lot harder. Spool pins make it a lot harder to just shim open a cylinder. They really do.
I know that. I know that from a fact because I've attempted, and I was thinking, screw this. I'm just going to pull the scalp off the top and just access it that way. And then I'll just solder the scalp back on. You know, I've done that on a couple cylinders that got jammed up. You know, and I was rekeying them.
Takes a 5 or a 10-minute job and makes it a 40-minute job.
Yep. Yeah, especially when I order these cylinders in batches and I pin them up on my dining room table. And every once in a while, I might get one that gives me a little bit of a hard time. And
well, it's Schlage, so a couple out of 100 are going to be Monday, Friday cylinders. They're doing. There are machines that are doing all that work, not humans. So there's going to be jams.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've had one where the keyway was messed up, and I ended up having to send it back because my key wouldn't even fit. I was like, oh, this is... Yeah.
Do you spend any time involved in Aloha?
No.
Well,
I just do all my own stuff.
Well, yeah, Aloha is cool because you get access to people that are like I've said in the past, the most famous people no one has ever heard of. I was sitting at an Aloha convention, 4 years ago, and I was writing an article on Corbin's Master Ring, and I needed help. Long story short, I ended up getting introduced anonymously to some guy. He happened to work for Medico. Really long story short, 3 months later, I'm about to take the test for high security cylinders for Aloha to get that credential. And I looked at the patent for M3, and then I looked at the guy's card. It was Peter Field, one of the two inventors of the M3. Just the most, and he never introduced himself. He spent 20 minutes with me going over my academic paper, and the nicest person ever. Just crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. Of course, I do follow one of his nemesis, Mark Weber Tobias, who wrote a book on how to crack Medico.
You mean he wrote 2 volumes? I own those. They're extreme. When I was studying for the standard CRL, sort of lock test, which is 250 questions, and it's a thing. His book was pretty helpful in some regards. There's no doubt. The guy's brilliant. So I've seen some of his videos, and he said he's been playing with locks since he was like 15 years old. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, some of the stories he comes up with are pretty hilarious. Yeah. The greatest guy in the whole world of locksmithing, and he's still with us. His name is Jerome Andrews. His book on fundamentals of master keying is the most elegantly written. It's not intro, but the way he writes it, someone with very little knowledge of master keying and what shear lines are, can really grasp it, and he's awesome. It's him, and it's Billy B. Edwards, who wrote Keying by the Numbers, I think it's called. And if you want to dive into the science of some really smart guys, my God. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they can pretty much design, a master key system from just using numbers right out of their head, without having to stop it, like most of us have to. Yeah, that would be Lloyd Selber. So Lloyd used to run the master keying department at Schlage maybe 25 years ago, and he's a private consultant now. But he was an instructor of one of the classes I was in at Aloha, and that's where I really kind of dovetailed the question, are you involved in Aloha? Because, I've emailed Lloyd and just asked, I just needed help, and these guys are always so ready to help. It's not necessary. Primus, you can peel that back, but dive into the world of Corbin. That goes back a lot deeper. It's really hard to understand their ecosystem without either help or documentation.
Or maybe
So,
even earlier than that would be Yale, because they're the ones who, Linus Yale invented the pin tumbler locks,
yeah.
I mean, it was,
Well, the thing is,
48.
at least Corbin has a
48
governing
yeah.
document.
Yeah.
Yale,
Okay.
the thing is, Yale doesn't have the Corbin Russwin cylinder manual is the most important singular document written about a manufacturer's platforms, and it's not up to date because the current high security stuff's not in it. But that's
Right.
Minico, a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I think if a person like you, like me, spends enough time thinking about the science of how keys work and how a key just removes a blockage, you could, if you
Yep.
really immersed yourself, you could design something that might be novel. It's
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I've thought about some designs like for like safes instead of an alternative for like a combination lock would be using a Brahma lock, but you have the keyway off.
I own a Brahma lock. I own actually a couple of Brahma.
But you have the keyway like offset, so you can't get tools or drills in there. So the shaft of the barrel of the key would have to be flexible to overcome that offset. I thought about that, and that would be really gnarly to have that on a safe door for those who can't remember a combination to save their life. You just have the special key that, kind of looks like a little snake. It's got basically, you're familiar with the old speedometer cables that were woven out of a very flexible, elastic material. In fact, I got some electrical fish tapes that are made out of that, and you're talking about a key that's maybe 3 or 4 inches long, and it's got the Brahma key bitting on the end, and then it's got a flexible shaft or barrel that you're able to, get around that winding keyway, which would be like a hole in the door to access the lock. So the lock would be offset, and then you'd insert your key, and it would just wind through this offset, and then actuate the lock, and then you can extract it just like you would a normal key, but you can't get tools in there to manipulate the lock or drill it out or whatever, because it would obviously be made out of a hardened, tool steel, as full safe doors are, I mean, that would be pretty novel,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, absolutely. It's all good stuff. The science of locks and cylinders is never ending.
I mean, you've heard about the Bowley lock. It's kind of based on that principle, where the pins are completely inaccessible, so picks are ineffective because you have internal shielding. The key actually has an interesting design that wraps around that shield, so the key can access the pins, but your rakes or your hooks will not, because all it's going to do is just hit the shield internally.
Yeah, the flexibility.
Yeah. But internally, it looks like a standard 510 lock until you look closer at the drawing and say there's a little bit more to it, And the key would obviously have to be made out of a high tensile strength material, or else it would break. In which case they're made out of a high tensile strength stainless steel. So you look at the key, it looks very delicate until you actually handle it, and it's like you can't bend it, you can't do all these things that you think you can. So the only issue would be the way the key is designed. It looks like it would probably hang up or get caught in your clothing or something. But I think that lock, they make, I think Bowley's based out of Canada, and
it's a deadbolt. I think I've seen it online.
They also have a padlock as well, which has a double bitted key based on the same principle.
Yeah.
But just that's, like I said, those are pretty novel. Of course, granted, the hardware that the deadbolt's included with is like grade 3. So it'd be you'd almost have to take that cylinder slug and stick it into something heavier. Like maybe if the dimensions were right, you might be able to get the trim ring from like a B600 deadbolt, for example, which is solid brass, and use that in conjunction. That would give you better protection against hammer blows, for instance. Whereas your grade 3 locks generally don't have that kind of protection from physical attack. You know. So.
Yep. Yeah, it is all good. That's for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I was talking to a sheriff deputy over at the county building because I'm in Illinois and I just got my VA disability rating increased and my property taxes are now exempt. And we got in a little conversation about door hardware, and he was talking about how the locks in his house are really bad. It's like, well, they pretty much in passing said a lot of people don't really understand how locks are graded, and that there are different grades, you know, for locks based on what their intended uses or specifications are. So, I mean, if you're looking for good locks, then probably look for the ones that you intend on seeing in, like, public buildings, you know, which are probably going to be grade 1, you know, grade 2 at the very minimum, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you know, like in your case, grade 1 isn't a detriment to you in a residential application. It's just, you know, you're buying them right. That's the key.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the last lock you'll ever have to worry about. You know, have to worry about,
for sure.
You know.
That's for sure.
Like the death nail for quick set, yeah, like the death nail for quick set is their spindle and how it wears over time, and if you don't pay attention to it, you can end up getting locked in your house, you know, or locked into a room because the spindle wears out to a point to where it doesn't retract the latch bolt anymore, or it causes the latch bolt to stick, you know, because it's a cheap lock, you know. It's almost like they designed that, you know, that planned obsolescence into the lock, so it does that intentionally, so you have to buy another one, you know.
Well,
you know, not to mention the lack of security because they're relying on only one key section or keyway. There's no key security. So, I mean...
yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah. Sloppy tolerances to go with it. So, I mean, that's another lock that's a
$20 lock.
Yeah, until you start getting into, like, Smart Key, which is marketed for $50, but only costs them $2 to make. At the end of the day, it's still a $2 lock, you know.
Well, the Smart Key is for people not like you and I. I mean,
right.
I'm going to be at the door with my pin kit. I'll be in and out.
Yep. And if I'm having to routinely rekey a lock, I'll go with an interchangeable core setup, you know, where I can just swap out the lock with a special control key even quicker without having to pull the lock off the door, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, that's what I would do for rental properties, for instance, where you have high turnover, you know. And you get those types of locks and you invest in the hardware so it lasts, and then you just keep an extra inventory or stock of cylinder or cores in the end so you can facilitate that emergency rekey at 2 o'clock in the morning without having to invest a lot of time in it. You know, you're in and out in a few seconds. Here's your key, have a nice night, you know.
Well, I was called one time to a eviction, and, you know, I'm there keying the locks while the sheriffs are putting the couch on the curb, and that's not an environment that you want to be around.
No, because your pin can get dumped.
Yeah,
and that's a nightmare in itself. Yeah, that's a nightmare in itself. That's game over. It's a wrap. Unless you have an extra pin kit in your truck, you know, you're done.
You're done. It's like the service call ain't worth it.
Right. Of course, I mean, for a situation like that where I had an eviction where I'm having to change locks right away, I mean, there's a couple, I think Holton Wise TV on YouTube, they do, they televise their evictions, and they wait till everything is out, and then they come in and then they change the lock. But what I would do is identify what kind of lock I'm dealing with and have replacement cylinders already keyed up on hand so I could swap them out without having to pull out the pinning kit. You know, so it's already the job's already partway done. It's just a matter of the logistics. Putting the cylinder in the door. And that's So oftentimes on rental properties, they end up swapping out the key knob function on the lock to a passage, function to avoid lockout. So the real security is actually in the deadbolt. So it kind of encourages the occupants to keep their keys with them, so they can lock up, because then you need your key to lock the door. But that's just another example.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Where are you in Illinois?
Rockford.
I grew up in Chicago. I grew up on the northwest side.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. It looks like you kept your phone number too with the 773 area code.
Yeah, there was no reason to turn that off.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, it's nice chatting with you.
Absolutely.
Yep. So yeah, you look into those Mesh Tech security screen doors, you'll be fascinated. Basically using a high tensile strength woven stainless steel mesh fabric. And the Mesh Tech screens have been around for decades. They were used primarily in psychiatric and correctional facilities for the windows. And now they've found a market penetration in the residential and commercial markets as well, because it's a durable product, and it's great for like a security door, because you have the aesthetics of a screen door, but you have the security of like those bar doors, so it does not detract from the curb appeal on your house.
Right.
So enables you to leave things open in the summer for ventilation, but you don't have to worry about riffraff getting in, because you actually have a locked door, Plus, it's great if you have pets too, because you don't have to worry about your dog just damaging the screens, because these are practically, indestructible. I mean, I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube of guys attacking these things with knives, sledgehammers, and it wears out the attacker before it wears out the door. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are. In fact, Home Depot sells them. I was looking online a few months ago at these doors at what the prices are now. I think I paid $1,200 per door when I bought mine a few years ago, and now because of inflation, they're like $1,800 for a single swing door. Doubles or twice as much. But they also sell versions for like patio doors. They sell them for double doors, and the most common is a single swing, right or left hand, swing door, and it's already prepared. There's already lock preps for a latch set and a deadbolt, and it includes a lifetime warranty, and or they'll cover the deductible on your insurance, counting that the deadbolt is been used. So it's right. You put grade 1 hardware on a door like that, you don't have to worry about anything else. Plus have the added convenience of single key, access. So I'm not having to walk around like a custodian with a big ring of keys either. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So.
Awesome. Well, thanks for calling. Best of luck.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome, sir. Bye-bye now.
All right. Yep. All right, bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.